Okay, I'm doing this video because I take what people say seriously and I'm always on a search for truth. And I'm going to show some of the things that came up for me when I was presented with the fact that the flower of life is actually the daisy of death. Okay, and if you're not familiar with this work, it's from Ashana Dean and the Krystal tradition, which says that there were rogue Elohim within a 15-dimensional system that wanted to overtake the universe. And it came through this line that was connected to Archangel Metatron, and they created what's called the Metatronic Eye by taking a part of the whole and creating a system that would be parasitic and bring you into a universe where you would be ultimately consumed and turn into space dust. Okay, so a couple of things hit me immediately with that. And this is why I'm doing this, is because ultimately I believe in the power of consciousness and you, and I believe in your direct connection to source at all times through your heart, okay? And I do believe, like, if you went to the wrong universe, you would still be connected to God. And if you told me I was in the wrong universe right now, I would believe you, because I am always on the search for truth. And one of the things that I definitely do identify with Ashana is that we've all been tricked. So that's the identifier that made me sympathetic to her message. But I've studied sacred geometry for so long, and I know that it's built into our bodies and nature. So let's have a discussion on this, and I'll tell you what came up for me. So when you take the seed of life out of this lotus of life, and I'll put up probably images. But the seed of life is a circle surrounded by 6 circles, closed by a circle. And that is what they were able to take and turn into the Metatronic Eye, because it created the pi ratios, the Fibonacci sequence.
Okay, just to catch you up to speed, the crystal spiral formed by the lotus of life has a sequence that continues to go back to 0, whereas the Fibonacci only continues to add up the last 2 digits.
And therefore, it's parasitic and eats on itself and consumes energy. Now, I already know through following Dan Winter, if this is correct, that our DNA, the hydrogen rungs within our DNA, they create the Fibonacci, or the golden ratio, which is quite similar. That's found in nature, okay? And it's also the Schumann harmonic cascade, and it's also the brainwave cascade, which leads to peak perception, bliss, lucid dreaming, and being able to bring memory through death. It's also the implosion that goes on within your heart. And it's also the ability for something to become self-aware, because within the golden ratio, you are allowed to re-enter yourself, because it does cause this implosion, and it allows you to go outside of space-time and link up with all things that are distilled in truth within these Fibonacci ratios. And it also creates gravity, because when the implosion happens, it creates a longitudinal EMF that is the only propulsion that we know as gravity. So right off the bat, I feel like someone's trying to inoculate me from myself, and I've always known that I'm connected right here. However, could I be tricked? Yeah, absolutely. Is this science not correct? Maybe it's not, you know. Sometimes the best thing to do is not listen to a scientist, but that's also usually if they're making a lot of money for the science that they're producing, which I don't identify Dan Winter as that. Nassim Haramein is also someone who found the vector equilibrium within the 64 tetrahedron matrix, which is what the flower of life creates. And the vector equilibrium is that place where gravity happens, and that longitudinal wave is the only velocity that we can measure as gravity. So they are in agreement with that. And the other thing that hit me as strange is Ashiana said that when you go to the death matrix, if you end up with only 30% of your original blueprint, you will be like, you're not able to, you'll just turn into space dust. It's like there's no use for you. You'll never be able to get back to your soul, and you're just going to return to source. Well, how come I couldn't return to source when I was only 30% of my blueprint? You know, I come from a detoxification background where as long as you have your lymph nodes, through detoxification and regeneration, you can come back to perfect health from anything. If you only have 30% of your original blueprint, why can't God find you? And when you turn into dust, how do you find God then? So just, that's, and then further, and maybe this was me confirming my own biases, and I am open to whatever someone wants to show me. If I sound ignorant, if I haven't listened to enough science that I need to hear, present me with that, please, because I love science, and that's really how I confirm what I'm feeling and thinking, if it links up to something. But again, consciousness trumps all, and consciousness is involved in your scientific experiments as well. And if you're looking for an intended outcome, very often you find it. And that's why in this information age, wow, we can all confirm our own biases, can't we? And that's what I did. I went on YouTube and I found this guy named George, Leowiak, on New Geometry, New, K-N-E-W, Geometry. And he showed that the crystal spiral actually makes infinite ratios of pi when it's being squared. So it does act like the hydrogen rungs. And the idea behind the golden ratio is that whenever you segment things in the equation, or the Fibonacci sequence, same difference really. When you take the whole and then you divide it by the longer part, you will have the same number as when you take the longer part and divide it by the smaller part. And that's how you get like the Hall of Mirrors and your DNA and everything else. And that's how every piece of a whole matrix has the matrix within. So that's why what the Elohim did by taking the seed of life, which is, that's your seed right there, the faith of a mustard seed, right? And fashioned something that was parasitic. Again, I'm just like, this really does take me back to like 2012 and when I was pregnant and like researching, you know, how we were kind of teaching our bodies to fight ourselves and cause autoimmune disease. So I'm open for conversations. I'm open to learn new things. I am telling you my thoughts. I am telling you that I believe in the science that's already within your body. And I'm telling you that I've studied it and I'm telling you that I think we're all arguing for the same truth, and all of us do not want to be tricked, but I am telling you that all of the answers are within you already, and you are always connected to source. And that was my message.
The soul is in you. You are your soul. Your soul is connected to your heart, and your soul is connected to your spirit.
If you keep studying sacred geometry, you will always end up with a flower of life, because it's the key to everything, and it is the container of all other sacred geometry.